seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, a man will become a territory, and all nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. God is asking himself, next verse, for I know him. Look at this. Look at this. For I know him. From his personal priesthood, we have done continuous assessment of him. The project, the assignments, he has turned them in. The classwork, he has turned them in. He has shown sufficient discernment. In verse 1, how that 3 men showed up, but he knew the Lord was among them. But for I know him. Can God say that of us? I know you. That he will command his children. Look at this. From his work, it has gone to his family. He will command his children and his household after him. So watch this. Remember, he told Abraham, walk before me and be thou perfect. So he already has a walk with the Lord. That's why the Lord is saying, for he will command his children after him. And they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken of him. God, this is so rich. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. Watch this. There is a cry from the city to the Lord requesting judgment on the city. Most likely, the blood that has been shed, the women that have been raped, the men that have been abused, most likely. So there is an outcry over a city, and it reached heaven, and the entourage of the Godhead came. The Father came, or rather a pre-incarnation of Christ for comfort's sake. A pre-incarnation of Christ comes with 2 angels and walks the earth and say, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which has come unto me. If not, I will know. Next verse. And the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near. Look at this. Oh, God. And Abraham yet stood before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, court case, will thou destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city. You see how to negotiate for a city. Will thou destroy and spare the place for 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and the righteous, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. Look at this. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So Abraham knew his standing for negotiation. Next verse. And the Lord said to him, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, assault, I know that corruption can be curbed within the city. If there are 50 righteous people, they can spread the influence and the vanguard of righteousness. 50 assault. Salt doesn't have to be too much to preserve. Then I will spare the city for their sakes. Watch this. Watch this. It was Abraham that was establishing the terms, not God. And Abraham answered and said, behold now, look at this. Because he's a man of discernment, after he said 50, he projected into the city and noticed there were no 50 people. Abraham was a deeply spiritual man. He knew, he projected into the city and knew there were no 50 people. Then he brought down the cut-off skull. And Abraham answered and said, behold, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which I am but dust and ashes, yet I have legal standing on earth. Peradventure there lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for the lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 45, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there be 40 found there. And he said, if I find 40, I will not destroy for 40's sake. Next verse. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry. Let not the Lord be angry. I will speak peradventure. There be 30. And he said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure, the 2 angels went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham stood with the Lord, drew near, and interceded on behalf of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now look at this. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. All this came from, I know Abraham, for he will command his children and his household after him. We have done an assessment of his priesthood and found him responsible. He has been weighed on the scales in the spirit. Mene, he has been weighed, but he was not found wanting. So he's been found to be responsible. That is why we have given him a standing to be able to negotiate for Sodom on his terms. On his terms. This is the priesthood over nations. So look at this. Look at this. So people in Sodom will just wake up one morning and fire and brimstone are falling. This is the behind the scene of the court case where judgment was signed on their behalf. And guess what, Pastor Faith? Their lawyer was not in the city. Their lawyer was not in the city, but he had jurisdiction. That's something to think about. Their lawyer was not in the city, but he had jurisdiction, and God honored his plea for the city. Okay, remember that it is in Sodom and Gomorrah the Bible records first homosexuality, right? At least within the chronological setting of scriptures. Now, also remember that when that city was destroyed, all those spirits of perversion were not destroyed with the city. They are the ones that have spread around the world now and are the vanguards of the LGBTQ, all the nonsense going on in the world. It's those same spirits. Chapter 19, verse 4. These are the angels. But before they lay down, the men of the city, context, even the men of Sodom compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may have sexual relations with them. We may have sex with them. That's what the translation I'm looking for says. Okay, this is my point. All the men, old and young, in the city came to Lot's house. All the men. That's why the city had to be destroyed. See it here. The men of Sodom wanted to have sex with them. Angels. That's why they were judged. So the idea behind destroying that city is that Okay, some people will be saying, but God should know that these spirits are the ones that are responsible for this. After destroying the humans, the spirits will still be on earth. But the humans refuse to keep their bodies, refuse to keep their territories, refuse to keep Satan and demons away from their systems. That's why they had to be destroyed. How can a whole city be doing this? A whole city. And Lot was in this city. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is the priesthood over nations, over territories, where the Lord brings you to that place, gives you a standing, gives you a seat in council, where deliberations are going on concerning a nation.